We are live. Take it away, Rami.
Great. This is Literary Roadhouse. One short story once a week. I'm Remy,
I'm Anais.
Hello, I'm Gerald.
and this week's story is called Three Questions by Leo Tolstoy, and it's a pretty simple story, but with a good lesson in my opinion. So basically, there's a king, and in order to be a more effective ruler, he decides that he needs to know the answer to three questions. The first is what's the right time for every action? And then the second one is who are the most necessary people to consult or to associate with? And the third is how he might know what is the most important thing to do at any given time. And so he summons all different sorts of people from around his kingdom and asks them, but none of their answers seem to satisfy him. So he goes off and finds a hermit who is known for his wisdom, an old man. And through his experience, he comes to finding the answers to those questions.
Do you want to say what the answers are real quick? Spoil it completely, what the hermit says?
No, let's talk about it.
All right. So general impressions. What did everybody think of this story?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I, I thought it was a good story. I thought it was, as Rami says, it's a good lesson, and I found myself nodding along with the conclusions. Um, I then found myself looking online to see what I'd missed because I thought there's got to be more to it than this, but it seems like there isn't. So, so it's a fairly I think it's a fairly simple story. But yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, I think I'm similarly in Gerald's camp, but maybe a little bit less generous because I think when I hear Tolstoy, I want a Tolstoy story, right? But this isn't really like when you think of Tolstoy, what you think of. It's more like a morality tale that he came up with, which ultimately comes down to live in the moment and obey the golden rule. So it's so there's a part of me that's just like, I want something meatier to chew on. It's fine, but I don't know how to rate it. Like I feel like if it's something that I just came across on my own, I'd be like, oh, that's all right, fine, whatever. But when it's for a podcast where I want something to discuss, I walk away from it feeling like I haven't been fed, like I'm still hungry.
Mm.
Good analogy.
Yeah, I was surprised at how short this short story was, given how long his long stories are. But maybe he's a man of extremes. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, and we've said this before on this podcast, and we've read some of the other greats but lesser known works. You know, not everything that that a master writes is a masterpiece. They know when they're creating a masterpiece and when they're sort of just like this is a doodle,
Yeah.
this is just a little ditty. So there's like a difference there. Like, okay, side note, Paul McCartney wrote Valentine's jingles for Skype GIFs or GIFs, however you pronounce it. Okay, clearly this is not
Gifts.
right. So to me, it's a little bit like if we were analyzing these tiny Skype jingles that Paul McCartney did instead of like his actual songs for the Beatles. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit like this is not what I hope for when approaching one of those great creators.
Mm. Okay, I feel like this is not like a bust. I think it's a pretty good. I mean, for me personally, I wish Maya was here. She would say, "Oh, another parable," and but this is,
That's
I
what I
guess,
want to say.
okay. Take her away, take her spot. Um, but yeah, so for me, I guess this is my I'm gonna try to pronounce this word correctly. Over, over, overa. Do you
Mm.
know this? Ovre?
Yeah,
Oeuvre.
the
Yeah,
works.
Oeuvre.
overa,
Oeuvre. Yeah.
overa. Or genre, I guess. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
like, the I like works that have lessons that I can take away and maybe or come away with and maybe like share it with others and stuff. And it's that easily digestible. Like the last story with Thank You, Ma'am, how it was pretty simple, but the message is clear. It's there. Take away. take-home message, and you can benefit from it.
Yeah, that's totally. I agree with both of you. I think it is. It's a very well-known short story, um, and I think it is a easy. Yeah, I like that phrase, easily digestible, um, and very true, and but Tolstoy. Yeah, I just yeah.
Well,
It,
what if
it's
it wasn't written by Tolstoy? Maybe that's the hang-up, that
maybe
because of the
it's
name that you have such high, lofty expectations.
sort of, and you yeah, and you expect a little bit more, and it's like something. It's like something he wrote in the doctor's waiting room or something.
Hmm.
It's something a bit like that.
He was probably in the doctor's waiting room, saw some kids that were acting up, got annoyed, and he was like, "How do I teach these kids to
I
not be so
know.
obnoxious?" And I came up with this.
No, but the thing is, so it'd be interesting. I didn't look this up. Maybe you know this, Gerald. But when was this written? Was it before or after his classic works?
I don't know actually.
Because,
Uh,
well, the reason I'm asking is because this story by itself, I believe, is pretty well known and widely circulated. So I don't think that it's like just maybe something. I feel like he did put effort into it too, and it was recognized, you know.
hmm. But maybe it was recognised because I'm thinking the king has no clothes here. It's sometimes I think I read stuff that's from supposedly good writers that I think yeah, and but everyone falls about
Mm,
and loves it, and
yeah. So
um,
that's why it'll be interesting to see the timeline.
And I
yeah,
mean, to be fair, I think we're expressing a lot of disappointment because it's not what we want from Tolstoy. But it's not like it was bad. Like in terms of like beginning, middle, and end, getting to your point, drawing characters, bringing them together, having a plot device. Like it's effective storytelling, right?
mm,
Like it does exactly what it's supposed to do very well. I think this comes back to like the whole issue with parables. It's like it does what it's supposed to do very well. It's still somebody who knows how to tell a story, but as adults, we want more, right?
I I think so. I think the bit about the guy who comes in from the woods and they save his life, and he said he was, which is the sort of really the core of the story, that he was without that the story would fall apart. But I thought that was well written. I thought that was competently written. I thought that was. I thought it was a good story. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the message, and it was a good story. And that's about it, really.
When I finished reading the story, I walked away from my desk and I was like, my boyfriend made fun of me a little bit because I was kind of like annoyed. I'm like, Rami needs to stop submitting these parables. I am done. I am done with the parables. Like, and then he's like, "Oh, Anais can't handle the parables. She's too good for them." And he was like mocking me, probably rightly so. But
Uh,
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I like him more now.
but but here we are like 10 minutes in and we're like and where do we go from here, like so okay, so what would Maya normally do? She'd be like, let's talk about the language. What are we going to say? Yeah.
It's good.
It's good. Good, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. When I was thinking of how to rate this, I was like, instead of on a scale of 1 to 6, I'm just going to pick like different well-known children's stories and then compare it to that. Like, is it The Princess and the Pea? No, it's more sophisticated than that. Is it Alice in Wonderland? It's less sophisticated than that.
But no, I think it's unfair to equate like a story like this with like children's tales,
Why?
because
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little more upper level than or a higher level than that. I don't know.
Why
I,
though? It even has the whole fairy tale thing of like a king without a name, without a specific kingdom, a hermit. You know,
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, it has all of those like
Oh, but we're
children.
not getting at you, Rami. Not,
No, no, it's not you. It's just like I think it's like a general like disappointment in when you hear Tolstoy and what you want. But then again, it's not like Tolstoy because he's great. He's not allowed to write this. Of course, he's allowed to write this. He can write whatever he wants.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just-
Yeah, I do agree that that is one of the downsides is that in terms of discussion, it maybe doesn't generate as much as some other ones. But I feel like at times, and I think of last week as well, when, people are generally saying, yeah, it's like a solid story. Or like not even like loving it too much, but kind of middle of the road sort of thing, then there does seem to be less discussion than when it's more polarized.
and
Yeah.
and 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 also, it's not going to stay with me.
Mm,
It's been a nice story, and I enjoyed reading it. But I'm I don't think I'd recommend it to anyone else, and I don't think I'm not going to sort of think back on it in a few days' time and think, oh yeah, that story. Um,
mm,
so
And I think the difference between this one and Thank You, Ma'am is yeah, Thank You, Ma'am is very simple and also is coming to a very clear, irrefutable conclusion, but it's a lesson that's still pointed at adults. It's like adults be a little more compassionate, understand where these kids are coming from. Like this message, it's universal. It could apply to adults, but it's something
mm,
you would hope most adults have already heard or engaged with before reading this story, right? It's like in the development of people, it's a lesson that kids get more. Especially the golden rule part of it, like do good
mm,
unto others, because that's basically the answer to the third question, right?
mm.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe I I don't think I was expecting the end of it from reading the beginning. Like I wasn't sure. Once he met the hermit and then the hermit wouldn't answer him and just like and had him do actions, that's the point when I thought, okay, he's going to learn the answer to his
Mm-hmm.
questions through like some sort of action or event that happens. But before that, I wasn't really expecting it. Um,
And even then, he had to be told by the hermit what the answers were. He didn't. I think I would have
yeah,
liked to have seen him on a discovery on a voyage of discovery. So he would think to himself, ah, this is the important thing. And if I hadn't done this, but even then, he was a stupid king, wasn't he? Let's
It
face
was a
it.
very dumb king. I mean,
Yeah.
there is also a level like when he even asks the three questions, I'm like, okay, so I understand that as a plot device or a theme device, really, that's necessary to get across the things that Tolstoy wants to say in this story. But there's a part of me that's like, what, like, really, like, have you ever sat there, like, what king is sitting there like, I just need to know when's the best time to do anything? Like, it's, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
it
With
would
this,
have been, I think it could have been good to have some sort of lead up to it. Like, okay, he had this experience, and after that, he realized that he really needs to know the answer to these questions. So, like,
Mhm.
this calamity or whatever that
Hmm.
happened
Right.
previously doesn't happen again.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it would have been interesting. Like, imagine there was a calamity that led to these questions. And then once he learns the answers to the questions, he realizes that the calamity, even though it was a calamity, was still the best thing that could have happened because
Mhm.
these things were obeyed. Like, something like that would have been really interesting and would have elevated. But, we're doing the whole,
All
like,
right. Yeah,
building,
let's hop into your time travel machine, Anais, and let's go tell him.
Let's go tell him
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And
Oh, we
also,
know this person.
Okay, wait, I just looked it up. So it was published after War and Peace and Anna Karenina.
Wow.
So
Maybe he was
maybe it
tired.
is sort of like what you're saying, Gerald, with the Emperor has no clothes.
Hmm.
though, Rami, you said something earlier where you were like, I like a story that has a clear lesson, something you can walk away from it,
Yeah.
that stays with you. But I would argue that most of the stories we've read on this podcast definitely have a lesson you're supposed to walk away with. The trick is figuring out what it is, right? That's the whole
Hmm.
point of the discussion. But almost all of them, I'm trying to think of one that possibly doesn't or isn't as clear, but a lot of them you just have to dig to get to that lesson, right?
Well, okay, so I guess there's two sides to that because on the one hand, you can say, yeah, you haven't found it because you didn't dig hard enough. But on the other, I could say, well, if you dig hard enough, you can find a lesson in anything. So I feel like the clarity part is important as well.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
fair point.
yeah, and we've touched on this before, the old iceberg thing where the lesson is underneath, but you still have to have an engaging story on top, and but then if you dig underneath this story is a big hole. It's not,
No, but I
or
mean, I don't think every story needs to be dug.
mm, yeah, you have said this, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's true, and the message is lying there on the surface of, of this sort
Yeah,
of iceberg.
but then comparing this to another recent story we read, Escape from Spiderhead, that's one that we all sort of agreed there wasn't too much digging down to do, but the themes were still very adult and not multi-layered, but multi-fractured, or they had many
Mm.
different directions that they went in, so that felt more satisfying, I guess. It felt more like a world or a bit more adult. So I think maybe there's a give and take between depth, because I agree with Remy. You don't always need depth. I loved Escape from Spiderhead, and he was very clear, was very on the surface, exactly what he wanted to say.
Mm.
But then, even if you don't go deep, even if you keep it very clear, then there is something to be said about what are kind of considered like classic children's themes and what are adult themes.
Mm.
Yeah.
I wonder too if it had something to do with the time that so this was written in 1885, okay? So I wonder, like maybe back in that era, because perhaps like the literacy rate wasn't as high, maybe like it would, because I feel like this story, like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like like the Leo Tolstoy wasn't intending the audience for it to be children. I feel like it was directed, and maybe because it's talking about like kings and leadership and stuff, but um, maybe that has something to do with it, that like some stories had to be simple if they were to
I
be digest or like to be have an
mm,
impact on a wider population.
that's yeah, I think that's a valid point. I've not read Shame on Me, War and Peace, or Anna Karenina, but do they have are they
No, those
literary?
those are pretty complicated. But I don't, again, I'm not sure if they were immediately recognized to be like great stories or if that came afterwards. I don't know.
But are they great stories because there's this huge rambling, no, rambling is a bit harsh, but a huge plot with lots of characters and all this, or were they good because there were good messages there and I don't know. I
I wish we
don't-
had Maya, who's read Anna Karenina a few times. By the way,
Mm.
we haven't said
Wow.
anything about it, but Maya's not here. I'm sure listeners have noticed by
Oh.
now.
Do you think?
She is under the weather and we
Yeah,
miss
she's
her.
not feeling very well. Um, but I'm speculating here because Maya's not here to defend herself. But I have a feeling that if this was a story she was really passionate about, she would have made us reschedule. Just saying. you know.
Probably, yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I think so. I never finished War and Peace because I'm bad. It's one of those books that you
Mm.
like get a few hundred pages in and you're just like,
I still haven't finished Anna Karenina. I didn't start War and Peace to begin with, but I did start Anna Karenina and I liked up to the point where I had read.
Yeah,
But
no,
it's
but
really
but they
long.
are exploring definitely adult themes that you have to do a little bit of digging, and that are approached from all angles with a complicated plot and a whole host of characters. Like they're full books for a reason, and
Mm.
they've withstood time for a reason. But again, like I said, it doesn't. It's kind of like, I think I did this analogy when we were discussing Hemingway, where I was like, Picasso has his masterpieces, but in the museum you'll still see like the thing that Picasso like sketched on a napkin at a cafe, right? And I
Mm.
feel like this
Yeah.
is that. This is that sketch on the napkin. And it's still like a cool sketch because it's Picasso. Like it's still like artistically sound, just like the story is storytelling-wise sound.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think it's it's a good story, but it's not. I don't know. I'm almost trying to invent
Things to
words.
talk about, yeah.
No, maybe I should just shut up.
Okay, so to give it away for the people who haven't read it, and thank you for patiently listening this far. So the answers to the questions is the most important time that the hermit tells the king is now, as the present time is the only time that you have any power to do anything. And the most important person is the person that you're with, whoever you're with. And the most important thing to do is to do good to the person that you're with, because you don't know if you'll ever see or interact with this person again.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm guessing no one else has anything to say. Should we get to rating? Because I think rating could take a long time.
Oh,
Because I'm not sure how to rate it. I don't know what to do.
I'll go first. Oh, crikey. I'll give it. I'll give it. I'll give it 4.5. There you go.
You're a generous soul.
Yeah, I'd written 4, but I thought, no, it's a good story. There is a good little message. Yeah, yeah. It's okay. And I enjoyed it. So 4.5. Yeah.
Rami or me?
I'll give it a 5.
A 5.
Because I
Okay.
feel like I just realized there could be another like side message to, given the fact that the king had treated and healed a person who was trying to kill him.
Hmm.
So that in itself is something that wasn't very explicitly uh, fleshed out, but like the importance of even your enemies, if you do good to them, and then later on, after he healed, treated his wound, and the guy healed, he promised that he's like his man for life, basically, and he's gonna serve him and stick by his side. So that's also important too.
Yeah, I did kind of like snort a little bit when the guy who he saved his life and he's like, "You saved my life. I'm willing to be your slave." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa!" Just jump
Well,
straight into
the thing,
slave.
I didn't use that word, but keep in mind that the term slave, I
Yeah,
think it has taken such a negative connotation because of what happened in America, but
and
it
elsewhere.
doesn't always, yeah, but or like during the slave trade period, but I
Mm.
don't think it always meant exactly what we take it to mean. It's more like servant, like I think
Yeah,
how
but in
it's used.
1885, the slave trade's been done with. Slavery in
Mm.
America has been abolished as well. So it's not
But
like
did Russia experience that though? I don't think they were too heavily involved.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say that in the entire history of Russia there's never been slavery just because.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But you're right. Maybe in we can consider like Tolstoy's culture, it wasn't as prominent as it
Mm,
is in ours today.
mm. 'Cause yeah,
Well, in
I
history.
feel like you can interpret it as servant more. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna be like shackled and work on your plantation
Well,
sort
that's
of
not how
thing.
I pictured it, but just the idea that an adult would be like, I want to be completely ruled by you and be at your whim for no pay, whether or not there's shackles, was kind of funny to me.
Mm,
Yeah, I wonder what the difference between slavery and servitude is, and I suppose because servants didn't really have much choice, did they? They couldn't say,
No.
"No, I've had enough of this, I'm going." But they weren't in shackles, and they weren't traded, or were they? I don't know.
Some were paid, not well, but not all of
Mm,
them.
mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
maybe like indentured servitude where you kind of were paid just minimally.
Well, you were
Um,
paid by being allowed to live on the land. That's how you were paid.
mm,
We allow you to have a roof over your head,
yeah,
right?
mm.
this is generosity. Come on, Anish, you got to rate this thing.
I do have to rate this thing. Um, because I'm really torn down the middle. Because in terms of like, is it a fine story. That does what it's supposed to do, yes. But did I walk away from it happy? Not really. So I guess a 3, right down the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's time to choose next week's story.
Yeah.
Yes. And we have 2 options,
Hmm.
which are
Go
Oh, are you asking us? I thought you were telling us you had 2 possible games and you wanted us to pick which of the 2 games.
no,
Oh,
you said you're nominating the story.
Oh, very good. Yes.
Oh. All right.
Go on.
I was just gonna say I'm resubmitting the same one from last week. Drinking Coffee Elsewhere by ZZ Packer.
And I'm going to the New Yorker for In the Act of Falling by Danielle McLaughlin.
Okay, interesting. Okay, now on to the trivia quiz. Yay.
Go on.
Now,
You have a way of saying yay that generates no excitement whatsoever.
no,
Right.
I'm actually looking forward to this, but I'm trying to contain my excitement so I'm not over
You've
exuberant.
contained it very well.
Yeah, you're doing a
Thank
great
you.
job. Well done.
Okay. Anyway, so there were many directions that I could take this, given that the title of the story is 3 questions, so I could have done it questions about anything. But since the protagonist is a king, I decided to make this quiz about kings. Now, just to preface it, perhaps, maybe, I thought Gerald might have a slight advantage because he is British, and it's they have a very
We've had
important and rich history of a monarchy and stuff. That's why I tried to pick questions that were diversified and weren't just strictly related to England, but from other areas as well.
Is it multiple choice?
It is multiple choice.
Perfect.
You'll be
And I
pleased.
have a bunch of questions too, because I was expecting Maya to be here. So I don't know, like, do you want to go through all of them, or
Let's
just
do
end it
6
after
questions, 3 rounds, and then a
6
tiebreaker if
questions?
necessary. Yeah.
Yeah. If just to put your mind at rest, history was my very worst subject at school. So just to
Okay.
put that out there. Okay.
All right. Hold on. Let me adjust something here.
I can cut this out. It's no big deal.
Okay. Because I noticed in the first 6 it is like kind of heavily English, so.
Hold on. I forgot to put my laptop on a charger while you get your
Okay.
thing together.
Sure.
I guess this will be cut in the podcast.
I don't want
So
to
we-
do all the questions though, but it's okay.
You can. That's fine. But if we don't know any, then
Okay.
it might be a bit embarrassing.
And let's have this one be the tiebreaker. Okay. All right. Let's start with NIUs.
Hmm.
All right. What monarch is sometimes referred to as the first king of all of England? All right. Is it Aethelwulf, Beowulf, William the First, or Egbert of Wessex?
William, I think, was the conqueror. So there was already in England. He just brought together other territories, conquered them,
Okay.
right? So it can't be him. That's my logic. So what were the other ones?
There was Aethelwulf, Beowulf, and Egbert of Wessex.
Once you already have a Wessex, you've already had some history, right? I'm puzzling through this. I'm gonna go with one of the wolves.
Yeah.
Which wolf?
The second wolf.
Beowulf?
One of the 2 wolves. Second wolf.
Okay,
Yeah.
so first one was Aethelwulf. All right, so Beowulf.
Yeah.
It actually was Egbert of Wessex.
What? How do you already have a Wessex?
So it says he made Wessex such a powerful kingdom that England was eventually unified around it. So that's how it happened.
All right.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
And I actually knew the answers to some of these, so it was a nice history refresher. All right, Gerald. According to legend, what ancient king built the Hanging Gardens of Babylon to please his homesick wife? Was it Solomon, Amon-Marduk, Nebuchadnezzar II, or Zerubbabel?
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I knew this from
I knew that one too.
Mr. Noble's class.
I knew it from Polito's class, Global History.
Really, yeah.
I didn't
And
know. I
it's
just
one of
guessed.
the seven ancient wonders of the world, the Hanging Babylon,
Yeah.
Gardens of
Didn't know
Babylon.
this.
All right, great, good job, John. Okay,
Thank you. Oh,
Anais.
so
Mhm.
nice.
What was the nickname of King Charles II of France? Was it the Fat, the Simple, the Bald, or the Short?
Poor King Charles II. I feel like you can't really call a king simple and get away with it. So we
I
got,
love hearing your logic. Like
yeah.
you should do
Because then you'll be beheaded, and then you'll be the short. Fat, short, or bald. Short? If
I
it's
thought you
simple, it's
said you
me.
can't because you'll be beheaded to be short too.
Oh,
No,
no. If
it's
you call him simple, then you'll be the short because he'll behead you.
oh
If it is simple, man, people were
no, so
following
it's
Brave.
actually the Fat.
the fat. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. And it says he was a pretty weak ruler, so maybe people weren't that afraid of him.
so
All right. This one's kind of easy, but not really. All right, Gerald. What English king was known as the Lionheart? Was it Richard the First, Richard the Third, Henry the Fourth, or Henry the Eighth?
well, it's definitely Richard.
Yeah, so that's why I said it's easy, but not really, because you have to know the number too.
Richard the Third.
No, it was the first, the original Richard.
Isn't he also the one that's featured in the Robin Hood tale?
Think
I
so.
think so. Yeah.
There's
I
a-
only know
there's a-
because in the Disney version they made him a lion.
Mm.
See, I didn't
All
see
right.
that.
Okay. Anais, something from the Middle East. What king of Saudi Arabia was assassinated by his nephew in 1975?
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
King Faisal, King Khalid, King Fahd, or King Salman?
The third one, Fahad? Oh no,
Fahd? No, it was the first one,
the first
Faisal.
one.
Yep. So he was assassinated, and then afterward, a city in Pakistan renamed itself Faisalabad in his honor.
Mm.
Now I know.
Yep.
Gerald, a descendant of Emperor Akbar, this is in India. This emperor is known to this day for ushering the golden age of architecture during his reign. The biggest proof of his architectural contributions is the Taj Mahal. Is it Emperor Jahangir, Emperor Shah Jahan, Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar, or none of them?
Oh. The second one.
Shah Jahan.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Ooh, he just lucked into it.
Yeah.
I think Gerald
Would you-
won.
Yeah, I think we reached the tiebreaker. I have a few more. I don't know, because I said I had prepared more, but it's up to you. If you want a chance to come back, Anais, or you want to call it for Gerald.
Give me one that you think I might get to redeem myself, and if I don't, we're done.
All right, fine. All right, so if you get this, we'll keep going. If not, it's done.
All right.
I'm choosing this specifically for you. Which king was regarded as insane and is the subject of a Shakespeare play? Henry the Fourth, George the Third, Henry the Sixth, or there was no such king?
It's Henry, but
Fourth or
what's the number?
sixth?
Fourth or sixth? Yeah. Sixth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and it just got interesting.
I mean, not really. Gerald has, I think, 2 or 3 points, and I have
Two.
1.
Yeah, it's 2-1 right now.
So let me get this straight. The person who lost is given the opportunity to extend the quiz.
Okay, Gerald, we'll read your story no matter what. This is now just for pride. All right, we're
Yeah.
not competing for story, we're competing for pride because
No problem.
we got time to kill.
5 points.
Exactly, because the discussion was short, so might as well.
Yep.
Okay, go.
All right, Gerald.
Yeah.
Which king lost his crown jewels? Was it King John, King Henry III, King Richard the Lionheart, or King Henry II?
I would have thought it was King John.
Wow.
That's what I thought.
And you both would be correct.
Oh.
It says here in the description, John was always something of an idiot. He tried to cross the Wash, which was a stretch of water between Norfolk and Lincolnshire, and the area floods at high tide. John mistimed his crossing and lost his gems.
We
Okay.
also have the crown jewels are also a euphemism for a certain part of the male anatomy as
They
well.
are. I don't think it was due to King John, though.
No.
One more and then we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. All right, so King Tut's reign did not make a huge impact on Egyptian history compared to some other pharaohs. Approximately how long did he reign, Anais? Was it 2 years, 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years?
Yeah, he wasn't that long, but 2 seems kind of crazy short.
Hmm.
How'd they build that pyramid? How'd they get?
Yeah.
He
You know?
didn't build it. Okay,
Well,
sure.
yeah, they built, yeah, right. But his fancy golden sarcophagus.
Yeah.
10?
Yes. Good job, Anais.
Guessing. All right, so Gerald, what are we reading?
We will be reading In the Act of Falling by Danielle McLaughlin.
All right, but before then, I have 3 very deep questions for our listeners. When's the best time to leave a comment at literaryroadhouse.com? Is it the best literary podcast micro network because it also has the Literary Roadhouse Book Club and the Bradbury Challenge? Is the most important thing to do to help others reach our podcast by leaving reviews on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spreaker and sharing this podcast with your friends? Ponder these questions, wise listeners. Until next time, read a good story.
Masterful.